leads us into what in the woo-woo. So next up is what in the woo-woo. Woo-woo.
Woo-woo.
Woo-woo. All right. So in that vein of relationships and stuff and couple compatibility, I'm so curious. What's it like to date a psychic? Like, do you get downloads all the time when you're with somebody? And I mean, how do you dress?
Well, I have to say this is kind of me in public. So the lashes, yes, they stay on while dating. Most of the time not. But what's it like to date a psychic? Well, that's interesting because I'm just me, so I don't know. But I do have some interesting questions from people that date me. So oftentimes for fun, because I want to know what I'm getting into. I want to look at their chart like we just talked about, right?
Right, yeah. It's kind of like doing a background check for you.
It's like a spiritual background check, yes.
Which everybody would benefit from. I mean, really. So like if you meet somebody and you're kind of beginning to feel them, maybe it's a good idea to find out and get somebody like Yeye to do your chart.
That's a yes. And we're not just selling the service. That is definitely a yes. It's always good to look at that. So I would ask, people would, want to do their charts, or I would be curious about what I was getting into. So then I read their chart, and especially down here in Savannah and New Orleans, where I'm from, this is the classic question I get, and I will translate it. Are you going to do roots on me? So what that means, am I going to do some, yes, Lou, the juju. Yeah. And that's not only, because it looks very different for each person. It just depends on intention. But I, for one, am not going to wake up at 4:00 in the morning to do some juju on you. If that is just a waste of my time. Right. But it's been done, as we know. Yeah, it can happen. So a lot of folks in the South, that's a thing. And I'm sure up north too. But I get a lot of questions like that because something resonated in the chart and they felt like I was like reading their mind or, et cetera, et cetera. So then, like, it must mean that she's going to do roots on me. It's just a class, and it's an okay question. I've had to ask so many times. It's like.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, do you love spells and Spanish fly and stuff? Yeah. And people do that. I guess. I mean, people do everything, Yeah.
Yeah. So,
you don't do hoodoo on them?
And that's a whole topic, which we will cover, I'm sure. But that's a question that I often get. And then to answer your question, like, do I get downloads? I absolutely do.
Mm-hmm. How is that usually received when you're with somebody?
Annoying because I know which way to turn on the road. That type of thing. Like sometimes it's like common sense and this is if I'm in a relationship with somebody. At first I'm just watching, just trying to get what I'm getting and know what I'm getting into. But in a relationship, it's almost like I've heard it all before. Like, when you love somebody and they tell you something that like you should know, but you're just not in the mood to hear it. It's kind of like that.
Right. Yeah. Well, I would think that there'd be some appreciation too. I mean, some people paid. Some people pay to get that information that you just are like, yep, here you go.
Yeah. Kind of like the car segment that you did.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that.